I want to talk about Justice League for a few minutes. First, let me say that I enjoyed this movie and that everyone should go see it. It has a coherent plot, decent acting from everyone, as well as plenty of action and humor without going overboard. Anyway, while I enjoyed this movie, it did have its share of problems that I could not overlook. With that, please note that there are a few spoilers here, so be forewarned. First, let me bring up the CGI in this movie. For most of the movie, the CGI is perfectly fine, but there were times where it was just plain awful. And I'm not just talking about the issues with Henry Cavill's mustache. There was one scene where Superman Clark Kent was with Lois Lane, and it was obvious they were in front of a green screen. At the same time, there were scenes where Cyborg just looked bad. And I mean the Scorpion King from The Mummy Returns bad. That's really bad. At first, I thought it was just me. When I mentioned it to my wife and son later on, they both agreed enthusiastically, like, yeah, that was really bad. Second, let me talk about the director, or directors of this movie. To be perfectly honest, I was never a big fan of Man of Steel or Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. I thought they were both too long and too dark. And when I say dark, I mean the colors were blurred and I couldn't see a damn thing. Needless to say that I found it incredibly interesting that Zack Snyder was going to step away from directing this movie to deal with personal matters and that Warner Brothers was going to have Joss Whedon finish the movie. Needless to say, there were times where it was obvious where Whedon's influence took place, which makes me interested to see the original cut of this movie, purely out of sake of curiosity. Next, I want to talk about a subject that was near and dear to my heart, the soundtrack. This is one of those times where I wish things were as good as the old days. The score was composed by Danny Elfman, who composed the beloved main theme for the Tim Burton version of Batman movies back in the 80s, early 90s, as well as the revered animated series. So I found it incredibly strange to hear bits of the theme of the during the Batman action scenes, but never hear it in its full form. One other thing, and this is my own personal opinion, nothing would have been cooler than to hear John Williams score when we saw Superman back in uniform when he's about to beat Steppenwolf. Maybe it's just me, but I think it's safe to say the crowd would have loved it as well. I just want to talk about one last thing before I end this video. I believe Warner Brothers squandered a perfect opportunity to throw in a few surprises in this movie. Sure, we got to see a Green Lantern in a flashback scene, but wouldn't it have been cool to see Hal Jordan or John Stewart show up during the end credits wanting to join the team? Or better yet, how about seeing the Joker show up on Lex Luthor's yacht uninvited? Hey, Warner Brothers, you don't have the same problem Marvel does when it comes to the movie rights of their characters. It's time you use them to their fullest potential. Anyway, go out and see Justice League. While it wasn't a perfect movie by any means, it was definitely a fun experience. So, what did you think about the movie? Did you like this movie, or did you think Warner Brothers needs to start over? Feel free to leave your comments in the section below. Also, if you would like to see more reviews from me, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. Anyway, this is Grumpy T signing out. Peace.